So Julie in California asked, whenever I have guests over, one of my dogs humps the other. They're both spayed, so why does she do it? So first, let's dispel myth number one. Humping is not usually sexually motivated. A lot of people think that it has something to do with sexuality or breeding, but oftentimes it has nothing to do with those things. So if you have housefuls of intact animals, then you will see it, but it's only around when the animal is in season, right? They don't just hump each other because, you know, they're intact. She said that hers happens when she has friends come over. It happens a lot at dog parks too. So you have dogs that go to the dog park and they're really excited and then they just don't know what to do with like all of the arousal that they're feeling and they just hump it out. They just don't know what to do with their bodies. It's like energy level up to here and I don't know what to do with myself, and then they just start humping. I have a humping dog in my house. His name is Trisket. And whenever there's like, you know, my kids are roughhousing, Trisket will grab my leg and he'll hump. And it's not a sexual thing. It's not a dominance thing. I'm so excited. I don't know what to do with my hands. A lot of times you have it with dogs who maybe weren't quite familiar with how to be polite with other dogs. So you have dogs that were not raised maybe with other dogs, or dogs that just never learned manners, or it can be attention seeking behavior. So you'll see dogs, if you go to a dog park, oftentimes the dogs that you see humping other dogs they're displaying the most play behaviors also.
What about when they're humping like pillows or like inanimate objects?
Yeah. So humping an inanimate object is the same as humping a dog. So you'll have dogs that will hop on couches and they'll start like getting really excited. A lot of times you see it at the end of the day, like witching hour. Kids always get really, you know, they get this like last burst of energy at the end of the day, and dogs are really similar in that way too, especially young dogs. Oftentimes we don't see this in older dogs. This is kind of like a juvenile dog thing. But at the end of the day, they just get really excited, or when they get their favorite toy, or when, you know, they'll run over to the pillow on the couch and they'll start humping. And it's a totally normal dog behavior, right? Like this isn't an abnormal behavior, even though we don't like it. And even though other dogs may not like it in that time, technically, if you were to write out what a group of behaviors for an animal is called an ethogram. So if you were to have an ethogram of all the normal dog behaviors, any behavior a dog would do, walking, smelling, jumping, grooming, you know, chewing, all of these things, humping is on there. Now, is it misplaced and should it be done at that time? No, but it is technically like a normal dog behavior. So when you see it, it's not to be like, oftentimes, though, it is a really good time for you to say, oh, maybe I should teach my animal a better coping strategy or something better to do in that. So let's say you have a dog that humps when they go to the dog park. You don't want to let them continue that because that can start a fight between dogs. That's a really good time to teach your dog to be redirected. So doing a recall, hey, Susie, come, you know what I mean? And redirect, giving them another toy to focus on and play with, or a recall that's when you call your dog to come to you. So then they're getting reinforced for something, but not like the humping or something you don't want them to do. You want them to come to you as like a reset button, right? You know, the other thing that you could kind of focus on with that is, at least this one is predictable, right? She says that when somebody comes over, my one dog humps the other. In that situation, you would want to prevent that from happening. So in that situation, when we have a guest come over, maybe we should have both dogs on their beds. So we're not getting like really excited when guests come over. So we know if guests coming over leads to humping, we're just going to say, okay, we're not going to make that a possibility. Both dogs are going to be told to go lay down until things kind of chill out a little bit. And then we release the dogs from the beds, and hopefully we'll skip over oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is the greatest day ever. I'm going to hump. And then we can just move on to like the rest of our, meeting. If you have any questions about animal behavior, dog training, make sure you leave your questions in the comments below.